How to master negotiation. The secrets of negotiating in 3 dimensions and getting anything you want in life and in business. Negotiation is very close to my heart. If you are able to master negotiation, you will always be able to achieve superior results for yourself and loved ones. As I grew up, I don't think I did very well in negotiation. That's why I pay close attention to the subject of negotiation these days, when once I realized how much I could achieve with my negotiating partners if I could use the right tools, the right techniques and strategies. Let's dive in. I am called Uduk. I'm the founder of a company called Vision and Talent. It's a management consulting company based in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm a seminar leader. I conduct at least 50 seminars per year. And my clients include some of the biggest manufacturing companies and banks in Nigeria. I'm author of several books. One of them, as you can see on the screen, is called Bridges to the Customer's Heart. It's on customer service. So what are we going to get in this presentation? Basically, the objectives are explain what negotiation is not. I mean, everybody knows what negotiation is, but what it is not is what we're going to talk about. Explain what 3 dimensions is. Then explain why you should always negotiate in 3 dimensions, which we abbreviate to 3D. Those are just the 3 objectives we have set for this presentation, and I'm sure that you are going to enjoy it massively. I would love to start with a piece which startles me in the first day someone asked me this piece in the negotiation class. It was actually a professor. Say, why do we have 2 eyes? Why do we have 2 eyes? The day I asked this question in a negotiation and seminar, I mean, it caused a lot of laughter. Some people say, because human beings have 2 ears. Some say because we have 2 lungs. And some say because we have 2 noses, and so on and so forth. People could not really come up with a reason why we have 2 eyes. I mean, it's quite possible to see with 1 eye. Is it not? You could see with 1 eye. So there must be a reason. Basically, the reason why we have 2 eyes is to, as Professor David A. Lacks and James K. Sabinus. Sabinus is a professor of negotiation in Harvard. Said we have 2 eyes to enable us negotiate in 3 dimensions. That is the only reason. Because if you negotiate with only 1 eye, you are going to negotiate with just in 1 dimension. 2 eyes enable us and to negotiate in 3 dimensions, which really enables us to zero in on the subject matter, see things, more complex things, and be able to come up with superior solutions than before we started the negotiation. That is the whole essence of seeing in 3 dimensions. Basically, when should we negotiate? When I ask these questions, people say we should negotiate when we have something to offer. Some say when we want something, when we have to resolve an issue or conflict, we need a mutually beneficial agreement. All those matter. All those, of course, matter. All those, of course, matter. But what I want to assure you that everything is negotiable. Everything is negotiable. Therefore, we should negotiate at all times. Not just at all times. No matter the situation, we should negotiate. Never, never accept what life throws at you. You need to negotiate with life and claim what you really deserve. Never accept the business results you are getting. You deserve better. Go ahead and negotiate. As I said, we talk about what negotiation is not. Negotiation is not about tactical advantage like win-lose. You hear a lot about that. Or a compromise, which leads to what we call win-win. It's not about mutual agreement. It's not about mutual agreement. Or it's not a way to handle differences. These are just strands of reaching agreement. Negotiation, to me, is about creating and claiming value for the long term. I really like this definition by David Edlacks and James K. Sabinius, who are quite towering authorities in negotiation. Negotiation is about creating and claiming value for the long term by crafting and implementing a deal that is satisfactory for both or all the parties. Creating and implementing a deal that is satisfactory to both or all the parties. So there's elements of cooperation required, and there's definitely elements of competition. So let's continue and find out what we need to do. The old school of negotiation tactics, there are so many. If you read any book on negotiation, you come across all sorts. Pleading ignorance, pretending you do not know anything about it, so you are just there, figurehead, or a fait accompli. Is a fait accompli? It's more or less take it or leave it. If it's a fait accompli, why did you come for a negotiation? Or just bluffing your way to agreement, pretending, and of course, threats. When you issue threats and more or less coerce or force the other party to sign the dotted line, that is really not negotiation. So, negotiation in 3 dimensions involves tactics, deal design, and setup. Tactics, deal design, and setup. The first dimension is tactics, the second dimension is deal design, and third dimension is setup. However, in carrying out the actual negotiation, we flip the sequence. In carrying out the actual negotiation, we actually start with the third dimension, the setup, setting up the right negotiation away from the table. Traditional negotiation, we normally meet at the table. It's that when we just meet, we shake hands and talk and at the table. But we are talking about advanced negotiation, more innovative negotiation that will enable you to win massively. So you start with the setup away from the table. In fact, this is very, very crucial. If you do not have this third element, you are likely to end up shortchanged. Then when we are finished away from the table, now we go to the drawing board. That's where the deal design for creating value takes place, on the drawing board. It's only when these third and second dimensions have been done and settled that we now go to the table, and should not be adversarial, where your win is my loss. Should be a way of creating a bigger pie, a way of creating better value than we were before we came to the negotiation table. That's tactics. Should all focus on problem solving. So let's dive into the third dimension, which is the setup away from the table. Setup away from the table. It's very, very crucial to the success of the negotiation. It's like just building a house. You cannot just go in there and start putting blocks. You must have had the architectural drawing of the house you start to build. Is it a one-story building? Is it a duplex you want to build? Is it a mansion? Whatever. It starts with the architectural drawing. That's where you set up to ensure the most favorable scope. The scope of the negotiation the sequence, what will take place first, what will come next, and so on. Then they put basic process choices. These are the things you do in the third dimension. You must know all the parties, do out research. Setup involves moves away from the table to set up the most promising situation once you are at the table. You must know, get all the parties right, get all the interests right, get the no-deal options right. You know, in typical negotiation, we talk about the ZOPA, Zone of Possible Agreement, and BATNA. Get the sequence and basic process choices right. These are the things you need to do away from the table. Assuming that you want to maybe get a job, let me say something as simple as getting a job. You cannot just walk in there to maybe the interview session, just send in your CV or resume and get to the interview and expect to be hired. That would be very foolhardy. You must investigate about the company, who is the managing director, who is the head of human resources, who in your family, who in your church, who anywhere knows the people that you are trying to get a job with. Can anybody take the phone call and do something on your behalf? Know all the parties, their interests. What are their no deal? What will make them not to hire you? Because you are too old, or maybe you are asking for too much. When people at your rank are receiving maybe $5,000 per month, you're asking for $10,000. These are the things you do away from the table. Carrying out thorough preparation, investigation, trying to really understand the complexity, the totality of what you're trying to achieve, the people involved, their interests. What will be acceptable to them? What will not be acceptable to them? What should you do first? What will be second? And so on. These are the things you need to do away from the table. For instance, maybe you want to sell a particular product to someone. What will be, who are the people involved? Can you really determine, draw what we call all-party map? Can you draw the all-party map? The typical example is you want to sell a product, and let's assume that there's a company, you are the supplier, you are the salesperson here in this template, you are the salesperson, and of course your CEO knows the CEO of the buying company. When I ask this to him, who is the most important person in this drawing? Most people always assume it's a procurement agent, because it's more or less to them it's doing us a favor by even buying from us and then supplying to the buyer company. I can assure you it's not the procurement agent. It's actually the internal champion. The internal champion. Do not assume because your company, your CEO knows the buyer CEO that you are home and dry. No, unless the internal champion is on your side, the chances of your success is not guaranteed. So you must reach out to the internal champion to really find out what his interests are, what are maybe the specs or whatever, who are the other people that are putting for this job, and what are, you really need to reach out. That is the essence of the all-party map, which is still part of the setup. It's only when all these have been settled, the third dimension, that you now go to the second dimension, which is now the deal design on the drawing board. On the drawing board, what are you going to do? Having known, having gathered the information. Because as far as negotiation is concerned, the most prepared, the better prepared person or the better prepared party would likely to get a more superior or superior deal. So the better prepared you are, the higher the chances that you get a superior deal. It's not because the other person will be getting an inferior deal, just that you will not be able to bake a better cake. That's the whole essence of deal design on the drawing board, to come up with a better cake, a better deal than, so that at the end of the day, all the parties involved would be in a better, superior position compared to the position they were before they came to the negotiation table. So at the drawing board, what do we really do on the drawing board? The drawing board, we draw up deals that create lasting value by dovetailing differences and or maximizing the total net pie. So on the drawing board, the focus is on the value you are getting, on the value you desire, the substance, the outcomes. What exactly is the outcome that we are looking for? So we need to invent and structure the agreement that creates greater value, meets our objectives better, and are more sustainable. Not something that falls apart few moments when once the negotiation has been arrived at. So what are the moves we need to take on the drawing board? Do not take fixed positions. So move from fixed positions. See differences differently. By that we mean that try to dovetail your differences. Craft enduring deals and negotiate the spirit of the deal. It is very, very critical that you negotiate the spirit of the deal. It's not just the letters of the deal. Most negotiations break down because negotiation parties focus on the letters of the deal. That's why nothing ever works out. So on the drawing board involves the art and science of drawing up deals that create lasting value when a proposed deal does not offer enough value to all sides, or when its structure won't achieve its purpose. Deal designers must go to work on the drawing board, sometimes on your own, sometimes with your team, and sometimes in concert with other parties. Deal designs create value, often by dovetailing differences and maximizing the total net pie. The whole essence of negotiating in 3 dimensions is to create a bigger pie. That's why we do not emphasize just a win-win solution, which most of the time is just a compromise. You take half, I take half. So rather than achieve 100%, we should aim to achieve 101%, 105%, 110%. That is the whole essence, creating a bigger pie. Sometimes people talk about moving northeast, assuming that the other party is facing north and you are facing east. The way to bridge the gap is, of course, if you move a little bit northeast, you'll be able to narrow your differences. That is one of the moves at the deal design stage. Okay, so having done all the 3rd dimension, done the 2nd dimension, that is, you have done the setup, you have done the deal design on the drawing board. Now we come to the first negotiation, which is tactics. This is what we'll see at the table. Israel and the Palestinians are negotiating or whatever at the table. But all the subtle moves, all the strategic moves were done off the table, were done at the drawing board. This is now the day of reckoning, where we meet. We have already met them before. We have sounded them off. We have sounded them out. We know their stance. We know their value system. They know our value system. So at the table, it will be very, very easy now to arrive at a better, superior deal. At the table, the focus here is on people and the process. People and process, the protocols. Improve communication, build trust, counter hard, what we call a hardball ploys, bridge any cultural and cross-cultural divides, shape the other party's perception to be able to claim value, and involve in joint problem solving to create and claim value. That is what you do at the table, which is the first dimension, tactics. This is just a conclusion of the deal, where at the end of it, everybody's happy. We sign on the negotiated line, on the dotted line. So in practice, how does 3D negotiation play out? How does it really play out in practice? If you have done your homework, you have done your homework very, very well. If you have done your homework very, very well, in all likelihood, you come up with a better deal, which we like to say, let them have your way. One of the things you need to do is, before the actual deal, to map backward from your target deal. Mapping backward from your target deal, assuming that you want a part, whatever you want, map back from what you want to the beginning. That involves you thinking strategically. Well, sometimes we say acting opportunistically. When you map backwards from the target deal, you have a higher chance of achieving your target. Let's see how it works out. Assuming that you have your target deal by the right there, you can see it very, very well. You have done your deal design, you have properly set up everything. So the chances of you creating their yes, that is, you are really entering their hearts and minds to determine. We do some form of scenario planning here. You know their values. So by the time you do your tactical calculations, you would have known what will be yes to them. You continue mapping backwards, so you know their target choice, which will be a better deal for them before you started off. And then compare that to what will be their no deal option. This is where the ZOPA comes. The ZOPA stands for Zone of Possible Agreement. All these things have been mapped out in the third and second dimensions. Then you continue going backwards. You know your negotiation strategy, and you also know their negotiation strategy. What will be their initial choice because their no deal option, because you have mapped out everything from the very beginning. You know their interests, you know the parties involved, you know what will be a good deal for them, and you know what will be a good deal for you. But this enables you to really craft a better deal for all the parties. So the heart of negotiation, therefore, involves, as we said at the very, very beginning, cooperative moves and competitive moves. You claim value individually, you also claim value collectively. It's an art and also a science. Obviously, there is an inherent tension between the cooperative moves needed to create value jointly and the competitive moves that enable you to claim value individually. So really, managing that tension is at the very heart of the art and science of negotiation. So, in essence, when next you are planning to go for a negotiation, based on what we have discussed, based on what we have shared, ensure that you put everything in three-dimensional context. The setup, what are the parties involved, what are their interests, what will be a good value, what will be a superior value for them, and then the deal design. On the drawing board, you now strategically map out what will be superior value for you, and then what will also be superior value for them. Not a tactics of win-lose or win-win, simply creating a bigger pie, creating a better deal that leaves all the parties with superior value. So I think if you, as basic as it appears, if you take these three strategies to heart: setup, deal design, and tactics, away from the table, on the drawing board, and at the table, you keep practicing this day and night, you will be one of the best negotiators in the world. Thank you very, very much. God bless.